Great. All right, so today's topic is the changing tech career landscape. And I'm just going to run through. And when you see in my presentation, Ida is an engineer, so she has stretched the conversation to more profound engineering roles, but I'll just stick with the information technology areas, and that's what I'm going to focus on today. And I trust that it will be useful to some and to us. So this is a little bit about me. My background is in IT. I started my IT career in service management, went into application support, went into database support, and I'm currently an enterprise architect. My business on a daily basis is aligning technology with business. What it means is we have a process that we call the design coordination process. So every bright idea that people have, we have to document the artifacts, we have to evaluate whether it meets business needs, and we have to maintain the architectures for those solutions. We also have to advise on the future of the organization in terms of how we are going to use technology to deliver value to the organization. I do a few other things, among which is my platform on LinkedIn called Cutting Edge Africa, CEA. So if you're in technology, you may want to be in that group. You just look for us on LinkedIn, Cutting Edge Africa, and we'll be able to learn more together over the long term. So those are some of the things I do. I will not spend too much time here. So I would like to get to know who I'm speaking with, because I believe that what that will do for us is it will help me tailor my conversation properly. So I'm going to just put a link in the chat. I'm going to put a quick link in the chat for you to quickly fill up. When you do that, I'll be able to see it, and I'll be able to get to know who I am talking to precisely. So just click that and let me have a few feedbacks in the next 1 or 2 minutes. Let me know who it is that I am interacting with generally, because I want this session to be useful to you. So it's important that I speak your language. It's important that I speak in a way that you will understand as much as possible. Just click the link. There are 3 questions in the link. Okay, thank you, Edward. I just saw that. All right, there are 3 questions in that link. So once you answer them, I will display what the responses look like and to give us a picture of who we're dealing with. So please, let's quickly do that. I see currently there are about 18 people on the call. If I get at least 10 responses, I will be able to proceed with that. Sorry, I just pasted it again. All right, while that is going on, I'm just going to go ahead also and give us an overview of the agenda. So there are 4 key areas I'm going to touch today. I'll start with an overview of life and work generally. Then I'll tell you my story, which is the aspects that are relevant to this conversation. Then I'll talk about the changing nature of IT. That's where I'll really dig deep into the topic with the SMART IT acronym. And then I'll do a few ads on some of the things I've already spoken about. So hopefully some people have responded. This is our first section. If there are responses, I'm going to look at them very quickly and display them. Yes, we have 2 responses so far. We have 3 responses so far. We have just 3 responses so far. Can I get up to 10 responses? Are we participating? It takes about a few seconds just to fill up this. So 1 minute should be enough, more than enough to do that, remember, okay? Okay, all right, I have 5 responses, so maybe I am going to use it as a general representation of the entire group. All right, 1 minute. So the first question we asked was about our purpose, why we are here. I'm just going to display that. on the screen. I have 5 responses, and 60% of us are just curious, right? That is what the feedback says. That 50% of us are curious. That's fine. That's not too bad. Just curious. Okay, I hope that is well represented. And then most people here have a bachelor's degree. So I'm speaking to intellectuals. That's fine. That is good. Most people here have a bachelor's degree. I'm speaking to intellectuals. That's good. And then finally, the third question was about interact with me. Well, I don't need to display that. Okay, so let's move. I'm going to just speak with the understanding that I have now that most of us are bachelor's degree holders. So that's great. A life plan. Planning is important, and we try to differentiate planning from worry. We live in very precarious times, and a lot of people are they are leaving their country, they are moving abroad, they are disillusioned, there's no sense of direction. There's a tendency for you to worry, do I still have a future here? And people are looking for opportunities. Most of the time, the opportunities we're looking for are because we are under stress. So we must always differentiate planning from worrying. Planning is very important, deliberately thinking about our future, making important decisions before they become urgent, aligning with purpose, like Ida said, and then ensuring that we are taking clear time-bound steps towards our end goal. So as you learn about technology roles today, one of the things I want you to do is to ask yourself, in 10 years, where do I want to be and how do I want to get there? 4 pillars of a life plan: clarity, consistency, commitment, and character. Clarity, do you have a long-term vision? Consistency, are you willing to do the work? And I'll show you the work as we go along that it takes to get there. And even when there are problems, when you miss the way, when issues come up, are you able to stay committed to your vision and keep learning? Are you able to stay consistent with your purpose rather than just pursuing money, like Ida also said? When life happens, you need to want to change plans, but you want to stay focused on your vision. Why is this important to this conversation? Because learning about career roles, career opportunities, where tech is going generally, is essentially about your career, about planning your career, planning your life. Your career is a critical part of your life. Now, I did a training, or it's a training essentially, on this subject of career plan some time ago, and you can find it on academia if you want to take a look at that. But it's very important that one has a long-term vision of his goals in terms of your career. There are 3 pillars that are associated with progressing in your career, particularly in IT. One of those pillars is learning, because IT is changing so fast. Technology is changing so quickly, so quickly. You cannot afford to be, lackadaisical. You can't afford to be too idle, too, I hope my screen is still shared, right? You can't afford to be too laid back about it. And today, I just shared a lot of free learning resources. The days that we are in, there's so much knowledge available that you cannot afford, you can't even pretend that you have an inhibition about learning. So learning hard is a critical part of your progress. And one of the things that a quote here from Mike Murdoch, he says, learn everything about something and something about everything. What that means in the tech landscape is that the landscape is broad and every day is expanding. Even if you say something as simple as cloud computing. In cloud computing, you're going to be talking about virtualization. You're going to be talking about a variety of services that cloud service providers make available. You're going to be talking about migrations, data, analytics, Internet of Things, all sorts of stuff. It's so broad. So there is that aspect of learning where you are trying to get an understanding of the general layout, but you must also focus on a particular area where you dig deep into. Learn hard means a little bit of broad learning and a little bit and a lot of focused learning. The second thing I want to talk about in terms of growing your career is branding yourself. A lot of people, the reason why they are not making much progress is because they know a lot, but not many people know what they know because they are not able to sell themselves. If you're in tech, a lot of tech people, their limitation is not their knowledge. Their limitation is their ability to sell themselves. So that's one of the things you want to take away from here. Sell yourself, whether it's online or offline, and LinkedIn or your CV. Learn how to make sure that you craft carefully what you know in order to impress the people that are going to need your services. Remember, this is a background I'm giving to this general topic. Building bridges. Relationships matter. Relationships matter. You cannot go through life only alone by yourself, you know. Learn to embrace relationships. I have an acronym here that talks about that. It's called RELATE: respect, engagement, loyalty, attitude, truth, and empathy, which means in your relationships, you must promote respect, you must engage with people, keep in touch with the people that are necessary to your vision, be loyal, don't backstab people, don't forget people, have the right attitude, don't be a parasite, have a symbiotic relationship with people, be authentic, have integrity, and have empathy, be able to say, what can I do for you in those relationships? Those relationships are the people that can give you access to the opportunities that you need in the tech world, because there's no point knowing everything and not having access to opportunities. If you're still with me, I want you to type these 6 words inside the chat so that we know that we're still together. In that same line of thought, I've talked about relate, respect, engagement, loyalty, attitude, truth, and empathy. I'm going to talk a little bit about growing in your tech career. You must have a plan. I mean, there's no point knowing everything. Incidentally, most people here have said that they are just curious. But if you want this information to be useful to you, I want to assume there are other people who are not just curious, but they actually want to use the information. You must come to a point where you say, okay, maybe I just left school, or maybe I'm in the early stages of my career. Where do I want to go? Have a career plan, not just a job plan. Like Ida said, look, not just saying, what's the most well-paying job now? Let me just take it. No. Plan your career, decide where do I want to be in the end, and begin to work towards it one step at a time. Make that plan early. I also shared 3 strategies in my training of developing a career in IT: the veteran strategy, this SME strategy, the CEO strategy. If you want to learn more about that, you need to go over to the training itself. All right. I also talked about soft skills. I'm going to dig deep into these technologies, but these are areas I feel a lot of tech people are lacking in, that is limiting their effectiveness, their growth, their ability to make impact. And some of these soft skills are here: communication, presentation, negotiation, teamwork, communication. Can you speak the language of your audience? You are a database administrator. The CEO or CIO calls into the office, explain this problem to me. Can you translate it from your technical language to language that your CIO will understand? Because to make an impact on the people who make a decision about your growth, you must be able to speak their language. You must be able to communicate clearly what you're doing in the back room, in the back end, into something that makes meaning to them, whether it's verbal or on, or written, or in the form of a presentation, and so forth. The aspect of negotiation: as a tech person, know your value and be able to get your money's worth, whether you are getting a new job or trying to fight for a promotion or whatever. Be able to negotiate well based on a realistic assessment of your value. There are tools to assess yourself: SWOT, the Joe Harris model, and all that. You can find out more about those things. But the important thing: know yourself and be able to make negotiations in the progress of your career with facts and all that. And then in any environment you find yourself working as a techie, learn to work as a team. Thank you, Thelma, for publishing that. Learn to work in teams. All right, let's talk about grabbing that first tech job. And I'll start this conversation with my background as a story. When I started my career early back in 2006 thereabout. Before then, before 2006, I had done some internships in wireless networking. And then after 2006, when I finished my service here in Nigeria, we have, just like we have NSP here in Ghana, we have service here in Nigeria. One of the things that was on our minds was, how do I get the first job? You know, but like I said, that is not just what should be on your mind. What should be on your mind is, how do I build a career in tech? What do I need to know? What do I need to learn? You know, some of the opportunities I got at the initial stages of my career were because of people I knew, because I was out there. When I mean out there, sometimes you have to volunteer. Sometimes you have to work for people for a lower amount of, lower than you expect to, because at that point you are starting your career or you're switching careers. Sometimes when you're switching careers into core IT, you have to take a pay cut because you're looking at the end game. What are the three things that determine how you identify the areas that you have that fit you as a professional? I call this the TDR intersection. Your training and background, the reward or the amount of money you're expected to earn in that area, and the demand for that skill set. Always have that in mind, this intersection. You must, balance it out from what you know, what you're trained for, what you have learned, balance it with what you expect to earn by reason of what you've learned, and then balance it also with the demand for the area. Right now, I'm going to show you the areas where there's a lot of demand right now, the area where you may need to direct your learning efforts, and the areas where which are paying the highest in terms of monetary reward in the IT space. Always know that school does not end learning. School may have ended, but make time to keep learning, and that's what I mentioned earlier. About it. In your learning, stay focused. Stay focused. Anybody that tells you this drug cures all diseases is probably not telling you the truth. Stay focused. Stay focused on your learning, on your resume, on your path, and on execution. All right. So, what does an employee want to know about you? Who are you? What do you do? What have you done before? And what will you do for us? Always have that in mind as you're entering any tech role. Who are you? Assess yourself realistically. What do you know? What is your background, your training, your experience? What have you done before, rather? That's your experience. What will you do for us? Be able to map yourself into the organization's space. Beyond technology, if you're going to be a balanced professional, there are some key attitudes you must have. Awesome attitude, open-mindedness, curiosity, agility. You must be able to change quickly, thirst for knowledge, and you must be focused on people. All right, let's go into the meat of this conversation. I understand I have about 8 minutes left, but I'm just going to dig into it. Now, disruption. We all know that we live in a VUCA world, which is basically unstable. Basically, you can't know, you are not sure what will happen next. And there are a few disruptions that have happened in the past. There's a story of Kodak, who thought, when the digital era came up, they did not know that simply being able to take pictures on a phone would ground their company. They took it for granted. And that's what a lot of us also do not take into cognizance, even as professionals. When certain technologies emerge in the industry, you are not conscious of it. So you don't realize that your job is about to be taken away. If you are able to be conscious of these disruptors in the industry, you'll be prepared for the future. As a technologist, one of the things you want to do is to be prepared for the future. Mobile, internet, cloud computing, artificial intelligence, RP and robotics, they are key disruptors that are changing the way work is done. They are changing the way work is done. And you have to ask yourself, how is this affecting my current role? I want to take two key areas. One, cloud computing, and two, robotics and robotics process automation. Cloud computing means that before, when you build every organization, every large organization, they build their own data centers. They buy their servers. Thank you for that, Chevelle. Volatility, uncertainty, complexity, ambiguity. Now, they buy their own computing resources. They ship these computing resources into their data centers. They run their software from their data centers. Their staff and customers consume their services from those data centers, and they manage it all themselves. What does that mean? That means that you need people who will manage the servers. You need people who install operating systems. You need people who will maintain physical hardware. You need people who will install physical hardware. You need people who do cabling. You need people who will install the software that sits on top of the operating systems, and so on and so forth. So the very fact that as an organization, you have a data center sitting somewhere in Accra or somewhere in Lagos or somewhere in Kenya, the very fact that you have means you have provided jobs for a whole lot of people. But what happens with cloud computing? There's a disruption. Once the organization says, I'm going to take all my assets or my my services, and I'm going to deploy them in something called the public cloud. That means somebody else has built a data center that is far superior to what you have. They have that data center somewhere in some large expanse of land, somewhere in Europe or America, or a place where you have stable power supply, you have great cooling, they're able to take advantage of economies of scale. And I say, okay, please take my software, host it for me, and I'll manage it myself to some extent. You know what has happened? What has happened is a lot of those people that were needed to manage the data centers might no longer be needed as they were needed before. So the value of some of those roles diminishes. The exams that you need to take for those roles diminishes. The certification value diminishes. If you had some certificates from the past, the value diminishes, and you now have to learn new things. And I'll show you some of the areas of cloud computing that we need to learn. The same thing with RPA, robotic process automation. I'm sure some of you have interacted with chatbots. It's a kind of RPA, so it's a kind of robotics. But robotic process automation focuses more on automating business processes. For example, today, somebody wants to open an account at a bank. He comes to the banking hall, he collects a piece of paper from you, he fills the form, he gives it back to the teller. The teller says, okay, come back tomorrow. The teller moves it from one desk to another, people have to sign, then scans it and all that. Then suddenly COVID appears, and we say, you don't have to come to the banking hall to open an account anymore. You now have online account opening. Once you provide that channel, the person does an online account opening, then some infrastructure called RPA picks up the details, opens the account in the system that is responsible for account opening. The data is eventually fed into the core banking. The person has an account number, he gets an SMS. So the teller or the back office person who was responsible for moving papers around may not really be required anymore. The same thing goes for something like reconciliation. The same thing goes for something like some other mundane tasks that are repetitive that you can write programs to do. I mean, it just goes on, and those disruptions are coming, disrupting organizations and disrupting careers. So being able to stay ahead of technology gives you an edge in terms of understanding how things are changing. There's an example here I used in another presentation, the future of digital financial services. This is from a guy called Brett King. I'll just read the last one. By 2030, AI, artificial intelligence, would have accounted for the loss of more than 30% of today's jobs in banking. By 2025, I'm going to read which other one that is, yes, by 2025, that's the second one, almost 3 billion unbanked will have entered the financial service system over the preceding 15 years without stepping foot in a branch. So technology is changing the way we do banking and changing the way we do everything. Even media is changing the way we do everything. But you have to know which areas can I fit in. And we're just going to go into that with this acronym called SMART IT. This acronym was developed by a lady called Dr. Jean Ross. She's an MIT. I think she's retired now. She defined something called a digital economy and says that there are certain pillars of the digital economy. And she created this acronym called SMART IT. These are 5 pillars, actually. Social, A lot of you are playing on social media, but social media itself is a solid pillar in the whole world of information technology, social, mobile, analytics, cloud, and Internet of Things. There are many other aspects. I'm going to break down some of the skills that are necessary computing skills that are required in the area of social. When I say social, I'm actually talking about social media. It looks like people are playing, but actually it is a lot of work going on there that you have to be cognizant of and ask yourself, where can I fit in? Because one of the things that some of these shifts in technology has done is that it makes it open. It makes it now makes technology open to a wider range of people than those who did engineering or computer science or other technical roles. A lot of people in other areas are able, because technology is converging humanity. So that's why you can easily learn some of these technologies and use them to solve business problems. People are focused on how are you using this technology to solve business problems. Copywriting, I won't have much time to dwell on them anymore, but copywriting essentially means selling by writing on social media. Simple as that. Search engine optimization. How can I make a business, your organization's website attract more attention and grow sales through that attention? Public speaking, graphics design, coding, animation, video editing, photo editing, and so on. These are big careers that are emerging from the world of social. The GSM Association of Africa says that the future of everything is mobile. So mobile is the second acronym in that SMART IT. The future of everything is mobile. People are having developer, are developing mobile applications now. I mean, it's just the in thing. It's just the in thing. Far more people in Africa and the rest of the world are accessing the internet from their mobiles. What does that mean? For some organizations, it means your website, if it's not mobile, if it's not adapted to the mobile form factor, may not be relevant anymore. It also means more people are needed to develop mobile apps. And the truth is that those people who can develop mobile apps, they're actually in short supply. It's something you can learn. It also means that payments are happening through mobile, It also means that all sorts of tools, free tools are coming up through mobile money, USSD, bulk SMS, the future of everything. Is mobile. Advanced analytics, this is another key aspect. Data, you see, they say the data is the new oil. Data is the new oil. So you need to be very conversant that every time you interact with the digital system, you are generating data. You are generating data. People are required to analyze this data, data analysts, business intelligence analysts, data scientists, data engineers, and there are tools that you need to learn in order to fit into this space of data, advanced analytics, whether it's from the traditional SQL to Python to R, ClickView, and so on and so forth. These are areas you can delve into. It's a big area that is emerging so much. Let me just move very quickly. Of course, cloud. The moment you say cloud, you're saying so many things. You're talking about cloud architects, network engineers, automation engineers, developers, cloud security specialists, cloud product specialists, cloud admins. I mean, the cloud just opens up a whole bunch. And you see, like I mentioned earlier, one of the things you want to do is, because the landscape is so broad, you want to try to plan your career well and still focus on a particular track. Otherwise, you can be easily distracted, easily confused, and you fail to acquire depth in a particular area. Then the last one from the SMART IT is Internet of Things. There are more things, there are more things on the internet than people, actually. When I say things, I'm talking about the likes of Siri, the likes of Cortana, the likes of Google's version of the PDA, the digital assistant. What can they do for you? They can make an order and get a delivery, and your fridge tells you, I'm out of stock of drinks, make an order. Then you make an order over digitally and they deliver to you to your house and all that. You have smart homes, you have smart cities, you have smart everything. Now, in order to do all this smart stuff, you need to be able to program certain small devices, like, for example, sensors. Now, these days, if if you have a driverless car, what's actually happening, you know, that realm, they call it cyber physical systems. What's actually happening is that you have combined a whole lot of stuff, the human aspect, the robotic aspect, the sensor aspect, the data aspect, you know, to make sure that things, so to speak, things, machines can operate using, leveraging the internet, leveraging data, leveraging engineering feats like sensors. A car can drive itself because somebody has programmed sensors, temperature sensors. You can have a farm where the devices that you plant in that farm are telling you when to plant and when not to plant, are telling you when the market forces are good for harvesting, are telling you the humidity of the soil and all that, and you're aggregating all that. I mean, it's just all over the place. So what do you want to do with this? What do you want to do with this? You want to learn how do you code on Riot. Riot is one of the first operating systems for Internet of Things. How do you code on Riot? How do you code in the other emerging OSs? How do you make these things happen? You know, you go into those areas. Now, let me quickly run through the jobs in tech. I wish we had more time, but I'm just trying to make it very quick. Now how I try to show this because a lot of people, are very concerned about how much they get paid. And I want to highlight some key areas where a lot of opportunities are coming up, both outside the country and in Africa. And I want to say that one of the things that has also happened recently is the concept of remote work. We work remotely, remotework.com, crossover, and so forth. These platforms allow you to stay in Ghana, stay in Nigeria, and do coding work for organizations outside and get paid in the same way you will have gotten paid if you are sitting in London. It's real, it's literal, as long as you can develop the skills. Software is eating the world. Software is eating the world. Virtualization is about software. Infrastructure as code, Terraform, CloudFormation, they are about code. Basically, software is eating infrastructure. The normal development, both mobile and web, they are all about software. That's why developers are in high demand. If there's anything you want to learn as a young person right now, is how to code. Learn how to code something, learn some language. Mobile applications, I've talked about the fact that the future is mobile. Security, another key aspect. The more we expose our access to the internet, to the public cloud. Okay, thank you. With the public cloud, the more you go, you know, into the public cloud, the more you need people who can secure your assets in the cloud. Database manager and data, it's another key area. Data is the new oil. Internet of Things, data science, other areas, product management. And I want to express a little about this. Product management as against project management, the switch from waterfall to agile. I am mentioning these terms so that you can just Google them, find out more about them, because there's no time to go into it. That switch means that somebody is now thinking about how do I deliver a product for the organization rather than how do I deliver a project. There's a difference. A project has a time-bound line, and a project does not necessarily translate into a product. But a product manager is focused on delivering products. AI, full stack development, both front-end and back-end, cloud architecture, DevOps, which is related to agile, blockchain, another incredible area that, you know, that is just making waves all over in terms of smart contracts, in terms of supply chains and so forth. So you want to investigate that. Big data, again, data is showing up. All right, so I have to stop here and I have to stop here and do a little bit of adverts. We have just 1 minute left. So maybe we should, we'll come back for questions, but what I've said, I mentioned earlier.
Okay, hello, sorry to cut you, Ken. So the meeting ends in a minute. So I just, we disconnect and reconnect so that Ken can have as much time and we can feel free to ask as many questions as we want. Thank you.
All right, I'll just
so kindly
connect. We'll just wrap up this section so that when we come back, we do questions, right?
Okay, let's wrap up.
Yeah, I'm just wrapping up. So this is Cutting Edge Ashbra. Find us on LinkedIn so that you can learn more about emerging technologies. And I have a program for small business. I'm developing one for new career entries. So if you want, you can reach out to us on that. And you can reach us on kennethigiri.com. So let's come back for questions in less than a minute. Thank you so much for this.
Thank you, guys. Let's reconnect, please.